We chose Johnny Powell to be kind of the person that's giving you exposition on, what the characters are, because that's his role almost in the story. In the story, Jackie goes to him with darkness problems, and Johnny presents with his knowledge, gives him those solutions. So we felt like, if Jackie's going to go to this guy, why wouldn't our audience? Why wouldn't they want to find out, things from this source as well? And it kind of gives you, I guess, a good idea of the type of characters that you're going to see in the darkness.
Johnny Powell as a character started as sort of a medium-sized character in the narrative, but we've been working on the game for a long time, and a lot of iterations on the narrative, making it better every time. Johnny just kept growing.
Yeah, Johnny Powell has a really interesting starting point. When we first, Paul Jenkins, our writer, when he first wrote the character, it was very, very bare at the time. It was, this is someone who is somewhat of a darkness addict of some sort, and maybe he was like an ex-grad student, or he has some sort of scholarly feel to him. And so our concept artist, one of our concept artists, when he was looking at it, he started looking at the website Faces of Meth. And he started going through that and seeing how people kind of degrade every mugshot, over and over again. And he looked at how, potentially he could bring that into the character. So Johnny Powell is this darkness addict that actually has, scholarly pursued the darkness and understanding it. And so, his character and how he's kind of eccentric and he has his tics, those are all kind of effects of him being exposed to the darkness for so long.
He's like Yoda for the darkness. He knows the darkness, and he's the one who explains it to Jackie and hence to the player, and explains it to the Vendettas characters and hence to the player, kind of what's going on in the world of the darkness.
You know the phrase, the lesser of two evils? Well, it's a lie. Evil is evil. Face it, we're not talking about soda pop here. There's no sugar-free option.
Paul sort of gave birth to these characters really early on. And if you're going to make a character who's really interesting in combat and is really part of a game, right, they've got to have some darkness weapon which has something to do with how they interact with the world. And so Paul just went super deep onto each one of these characters. We have backstories, we know where they're from, we know how old they are, we know how they got the darkness powers, why they have this one, how it influences their personality, reams of pages about this. And I think that you need that, even if you're not going to explicitly tell the player everything about the history of this character. You need that to know how they would interact, how they would react to certain situations in the world. You need to really deeply know who these characters are in order to make a narrative interesting. And a lot of that has to come from their relationship with the darkness artifact that they have.
So, what's a man to do when both of his evils are as evil as they come? Well, if that man is Jackie Estacado, he invites 4 more evils to the party.
You see Jackie, who's, he's torn, he's got problems. You see Johnny, who's eccentric and crazy, and you see these Vendettas characters who each has their own personality and has their own motivations for wanting to help Jackie against the Brotherhood. So, yeah, I just think it works really well that way.
So, Johnny's a big part of it. He's not the only one.
Whistles. The hound comes.
Okay, boys. Stay sharp, stay alive.
Lasses, grab your lads! And fellas, grab your nads!
Let us be about our dark deeds.
The reason that their power emanates from artifacts is like this is part of the darkness lore from the comic books, it's part of the darkness lore from the single-player narrative, that terrible acts on their own, especially terrible acts that are done by a wielder of the darkness, a host of the darkness, can spill out. They can infect objects that are around them. This is already something that we totally established in the single-player narrative, and since Vendettas was developed in parallel, we were like, run with that. All of them have ties to the darkness. It's not like we're picking unique playable characters who have some other skill set. They're unique playable characters who are definitely from the world of the darkness, and it helps to tie everybody narratively together.
The one thing I'm really proud of is that we decided to make it possible to play through the entire Vendettas campaign by yourself. and not have to just play online, because I think so many people that are going to love the darkness are going to love it for its story, and they're going to want to be able to experience that story regardless of whether they have a friend with them or not.